This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the G-Spot Podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
You are a G-Spot Podcast with Katie Silcox.
Hey, honey mamas, it's your girl Katie coming to you with this week's podcast. It's going to be a juicy one. Are any of them not juicy? We just can't help it. This podcast is brought to you by ApotheKary, our girls down in DC area. We love them. I know you've heard me talk about ApotheKary, but have you heard me talk about MACA? They have a really great ethically sourced MACA. And MACA is all about sexual health, which we're sort of peripherally talking about today. And it boosts libido, it boosts fertility, it improves your mood. I think I'm going to go make a little smoothie after this podcast because I'm convincing myself. It's a very wonderful adaptogenic root, and it's associated with libido. And what I love is that it's actually been scientifically studied, and researchers gave it to 50 men with mild erectile dysfunction. And after 12 weeks, the men downing the MACA experienced a significant boost in their sexual performance. I'm wondering if in that study they talked to the dudes or they talked to whomever they were with. Nonetheless, that's convincing, right? So head over to the link we provided if you want to get a little bottle of the MACA from our gals at ApotheKary. And when you do that, you know that you're supporting a small business run by ladies, by entrepreneurial ladies. And I know a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurial ladies, and I love giving my money to other women that are running their own businesses. Don't you guys love that? Onward. Today, guys, we are talking about really the deepest essence of everything we do here at Shakti School. And I just want to talk a little bit about what it is that we're doing, with the G-Spot podcast, with Shakti School, what I'm experiencing as I receive your emails and your beautiful reviews on this podcast. And, right now we have 100 and some women in our level 1 program. We have about 200 women in our school. It's incredible. And so I'm working with these women every single week, and we have 20 amazing teachers who are all women. And, I'm just around it a lot. The vibes, right? The sort of wave of experience that we're experiencing together as women. And so I just want to start off this podcast by saying, hi, goddess. I see you, and I very much sit and circle with you, and I am a leader in this community, but I just want you to know, listener, dear listener, beloved listener, you are seen, in the sense that this thing of the rising of the feminine isn't something that we do by ourselves. It's something that's occurring in all of our bodies, in all of our hearts, in all of our minds. And it's like a wave rising up through us. And it really is just such an honor to be able to interface with this wave and to be a part, hopefully, of a womanhood who is channeling this wave. And the goal of this wave is love. The goal is healing. The goal is the transformation of the whacked out, cray-cray society that we live in through the gateway of our body and the gateway of our nervous system and the gateway of our hearts and our minds and our emotions. And so I just want you to know that I see you, and I know that you, if you're a listener, if you're a subscriber to us, you're probably one of those women who deep down inside your bones and your blood and deep inside of yourself, you know you're a part of something that's bigger than you. And I just feel super honored to be able to be giving words and hopefully practices and really permission that we can begin to normalize these longings inside of ourselves to be a little bit closer to who we actually are and to living the life that we long to live in a world that can often feel very far away from that life that we long for. And so if you're a woman out there listening, or a man, by the way, hi men, I hope some men listen. If you're a man and you're listening to our podcast, will you email me? It's katie@katiesilcox.com. Email me. Tell me that you're a listener. We love our menfolk, and all of the podcasts are for everybody. We focus a little bit more on the women because we need to balance the scale. So today we're talking about everyday ecstasy. Today we're talking about if you want more of the goddess in your life, then you need to become her. And you already are her. It's just a way of saying, I'm remembering. And how do we do that? I want to talk today about one of the most, if not the most important and central premises of Tantra. And that is ecstasy. That word in English we've borrowed from the Greeks. It's the word ekstasis. And what that word means is it's something that happens in my day or my night that causes me to step outside of myself. The literal meaning is to cause to stand outside. And the Greeks considered the experience of ecstasy as a sacred and holy doorway into divinity. And another way of thinking about ecstasy is pleasure and enjoyment. And it's this vast sense of awareness where, what does it mean to cause to stand outside myself? It means so often we get so caught in our own little inner life. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my thoughts, my feelings, my body sensations. And we get caught in those patterns, and we get very caught in the stories about our life. And we can miss out on what's actually occurring here and now, which you guys know, we've talked about this so much. So much of the work in Tantra and the work that we do here at Shakti School is about just being able to enter into relationship with the here and now. And truthfully, you're always in the here and now. You just might be in the here and now of a crazy thought spin or a typical old way of being. But what this is asking us to do is to be in the here and now through the gateways of the sensual experience, the sensory experience. That is an experience that you can trust. I can trust always the sensory information that my body is receiving from my environment and from my own body. Tantra holds this idea that the whole universe is permeated by God and by God's love, to be specific. Tantra holds that God is Sat, Chit, and Ananda, wisdom, awareness, and bliss. Tantra holds that God is joy. Oh my gosh, y'all. That brings me great comfort to know that the universe is composed of a fabric that is joy. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, God is desire. God is joy. God is the joy that comes from a desire being fulfilled. From joy, all beings are born. From joy, all beings are sustained. And from joy, all beings, and to joy, rather, all beings shall return. So Tantra says that the universe, this life, you yourself, the plants in your garden, the book on your shelf, the clothes on your back, the little chipmunk in your backyard, whatever it is that we experience in this reality, Tantra says, it comes, into being. You guys, are you listening? It comes into being because of God's desire to make love. What a sexy religion, if it were a religion. God's desire to make love is how we are here. And so the creation myth of much of Hinduism and Tantra, and really so many of these ancient systems from Europe, South America, and Africa, many of these systems are related to God's longing, whereby the one splits into two.
Hi there, this is Amaury, Program Manager at Shakti School with a quick update. If you love this podcast and learning about Ayurveda, health, yoga, psychology, and everything in between, we have 2 really special offerings right now that are free. The first is our mini course on Divine Feminine Ayurveda. This is actually a special sneak peek into Ayurveda school. It's 4 hours worth of video and an accompanying workbook. If you're looking for inspiration or just curious about Katie's approach to Ayurveda, I highly recommend this offering. You can sign up for it by going to bit.ly/Ayurveda mini course. That's bit.ly/Ayurveda mini course. And I'm going to put the link to that in the show notes for you. The second offering is a free 30-day trial of our subscription platform, The Lineage of Love. Every month in The Lineage of Love, you get a new seasonally attuned video and audio workshop with Katie. The workshops are a mix of movement, yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, and all the other stuff we love to talk about. The link to register for the free trial is bit.ly/lineage-of-love-free-trial. So I'll definitely put a link to that one in the show notes too. Now, if you know you're ready to go deep and spend a year learning with us, the next session of Ayurveda School starts in January, and the deadline for registration is December 31st. Getting back into the swing of learning can be a big commitment, but it's also the best catalyst for change and evolution. If Katie and I could have every woman do at least level 1 of Ayurveda School, we would. It's a year-long program that will both nurture and challenge you in the best way. It's everything we should have learned as beings with bodies and psyches that we were never taught in school. If you want to have a chat with me about whether this program is right for you, you can put a free call directly on my calendar at calendly.com/Shakti School/free coaching call. That's calendly.com/Shakti School/free coaching call. And will also put that link in the show notes. Have a beautiful day, sisters. Now back to the episode.
In these more pre-patriarchal versions of Tantra, historically we see that Tantra held that love and desire and your sexuality and the body and our relationship to plants and nature and children and animals and food and birth and death. All of these things were held in very, very high esteem. Men were asked to please make sure that the women in your life, make sure that their sexual and sensual desires are being held as the culture's highest priority. Can you guys imagine that? I mean, we talked about this in level 1 Ayurveda school. We do a whole month-long module, by the way, on tantric sexuality and female sexuality. And so I start the lecture by saying that this system understood that a woman's health is really related to how satisfied she feels in her life. And so the culture, the society, held a woman's sensual and sexual desires being fulfilled as the highest priority. So, imagine you go into like a city council meeting and they're like, okay, meeting come to order. First aspect of business today is going to be, what do we have on the list? Oh, women's sexual fulfillment. How are we doing, guys? Oh my Lord. Why? Why did they think that was so important? Because that culture was very wise, and they understood that a woman's fertility was really affected by her sense of having her satisfactions fulfilled. But not only that, even deeper, the culture understood that the nature of the feminine is to do for others. The nature of the feminine is to connect with other people. The nature of the feminine is to give and to make sure that everybody's okay. That is what we do, right? And because they understood, if she is not full, if her cup is not full and runneth over, then she's going to be giving from poor quality. And the thing that we're going to be receiving is going to be poor quality, whether it be a baby or her love power. And so it's a selfish thing, right? Let's make sure our women are so effing fulfilled, because I know it's all going to come back to me. And that's really what love is, right? Worship. In the best of cases, tantric lovemaking in between a woman and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a man, it doesn't matter. The only thing that needs to show up is that you're willing to see one another as a god and goddess. That we're willing to just so fully experience our own pleasure, but also be willing to worship the other as an incarnation of God's longing. So in the tantric tradition, the temple priestesses, just like in the Catholic tradition, they didn't marry. But it was a little bit different than nuns, as you may suspect. The tantric priestess didn't marry because she wanted to take on the experience of meditating on union with God in her body, or she may decide to take on many lovers. She was a yogini, right? She was a woman who dedicated her life to this grand alchemy of consciousness and bliss. Dance and movement in her body and ritual and propitiation of the ancestors and the gods and telling stories and experiencing ecstatic states and Ayurveda and all of these erotic arts were considered the realm of her priestesshood. You don't have to be a renouncing priestess to be able to be a tantrika. You certainly can be married or single. The point is that we are willing to enter into relationship with pleasure as a spiritual practice, as a way to God, a way to know God. So I know I can hear you out there, I can feel you out there, and you're going, yes, sign me up. I want to be a part of that priestesshood. Well, you probably already are. So let's refine it a little more. How can I really commit to this path of the goddess? How can I commit to this path of becoming her, as we call it? How can I cultivate this ability to relate to and grow my own pleasure power, my own desire, my own sensuality? First, we must learn to live inside of our body and to be embodied. We do this here at Shakti School very systematically through soothing and calming the nervous system, through entering into a relationship with the organs of our body, into a relationship with the bones of our body. Meditating on those bones and organs embodies me. Being able to experience sensation without judging it, without attaching story to it, but living in the body. And to live outside of my body in the sense not of disembodiment, but of being able to interface and have a relationship with the world around me. And so not only am I embodied and alone, but I'm embodied and I allow myself to live in the greater body of this planet. Secondly, I'm willing to experience pleasure and to grow my capacity to experience more and more pleasure. And that's a practice. And so this is something that we're highly committed to at Shakti School. We see pleasure as an opportunity to heal a lot of the pain and the wounding of our past. It's also being willing to develop a relationship with your version of God. And why it's so powerful for women to actually interface with God as the masculine is that if you identify with the feminine, worshiping God as the masculine is the alchemy of yin and yang. If you identify with more of the masculine, then you may want to worship more as goddess as feminine, and that's up to you. But I wanted to throw that out there because I think a lot of women think, oh, I want to connect with the goddess. The thing is, you already are the goddess, and so connecting with God actually equalizes the tendencies. It's just something to think of. And of course, you can flip back and forth. Everything's allowed. And lastly, committing to connecting to your voice, my friend. Your intuition. The part of you that knows best. There's a part of you, the teachings of Tantra say, that always knows what to do next. And it brings tears to my eyes, as I say so often as I speak to you through this gateway of the podcast. It brings tears to my eyes because what Tantra says is there is a voice inside of your heart that always knows what to do next. And the great spiritual journey is to be able to discern this voice from all the other voices inside of you. And I know you know what I mean. And the second piece to that is not only being able to connect to it and attend to it, but also to have the courage and bravery to do what it asks of you. That's the big shift. So I want to leave you with a little practice. How can I become this goddess? How can I embody more of this goddess power and more of this connection to desire and my sexuality and sensuality? How can I have more of it in my life? As you know, if you've listened to past podcasts, we do a lot of meditations on and with the senses, so go back and do those. But the question that I have for you is, what are the qualities of your dream lover? What would be the most amazing sexual experience? Because so often we, especially women, we complain and bitch and moan so much about how bad men are at sex. Let's be honest. And that's okay. That means that you want something else, and that's fine. But what I'm asking you to do is I want you to write down all the qualities of your dream lover. And you can start that sentence with, he is ... fill in the blank. And if you're a lesbian or you are on the spectrum, totally fine. You can use the word she is, or you can switch back and forth. It does not matter one bit. Okay? So I want you to do that. And if you are ready to do it, pause this podcast. Okay? Pause it. Go get a pen and paper. Now, and then do it. Take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you want a day. Do it and then come back. And now you're back. And so if you're not back and you're like, I'm in the car, I can't do it. Okay, we love you. Pause and come back. And don't forget to come back. Now, if you are, because I don't want you to know the ending. And some of you are like, but I want to know the ending, Be disciplined. Pause the podcast. Go do the exercise and then come back. Because if you find out what I'm about to say now, it's going to affect how you do the exercise. Now, it won't ruin it. So if you do for some reason hear this, no worries. Pause the podcast. Come back. Now I'm going to assume we're all back. And now what I want you to see is what you wrote down. He is blah, 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 blah. He is blah, 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 blah. He is so present with me. He knows how to take charge of me and throw me up against the bed. Whatever it is that you wrote down, that's definitely not me. I'm just kidding. That's probably me. Whatever it is that you wrote down, that is what you are going to commit to becoming. I am present with me. I am willing to see myself in all of my beauty and all of my darkness. I am willing to hold myself in the ecstatic experience. I am willing to accept all of the aspects of myself, animal, primal to sublime. Whatever it is that you wrote down, that is what you are going to commit to becoming this week, this month, and this year. All right, beautiful people, we love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and join us in Ayurveda school. We can't wait to hang out with you for a full year. And if you're already in Ayurveda school, good job you. You're getting extra credit for listening to the podcast. All right, you guys, see you next week.
फूटे फूल